We have kids leaving with 600-700 credits when they leave Lincoln High School, which saves them money, saves our families money, and is a great opportunity for kids.
One-to-one is we have iPads, which are an instructional tool that really enhance the learning. It doesn't replace learning, but we are able to offer all kids, particularly in grades 3 through 6, if they have the resources or not at home or at school, to be able to use iPads effectively and use them on a day-to-day basis.
It is a sandbox that has just sand in it, and when students manipulate the sand, there's a projector that's overhead, and it'll project a topographic map onto the sand so they can create different landforms, and then the topographic map will adjust to the landforms, and then they can make it rain, and water will fill the basins, and there's just a lot of potential there, not only in earth science but also in STEM, but in geography. So we're really kind of excited to get that up and rolling.
There's just a big pre-K push, pre-kindergarten at a national and state level, and a lot of research has shown that the earlier that we catch kids, the more successful they'll be. So there's a lot of talk of pushing more resources to the earliest learners, and schools aren't built for pre-K. We just added all day, everyday kindergarten 6, 7, 8 years ago, so that creates issues with a school district as well.
I think when I was in school, you kind of think like field trips just come with the whole school experience. You're excited about it, but you don't really think to thank anyone. And now that I'm a teacher, I see what work goes into paying for those trips and making that happen. And I guess I'd really like to thank, the Ed Foundation and everyone who makes that happen for my students and for me when I was a student.
The Innovation Lab, we started in 3rd grade because we wanted to pilot it here. The idea is really that we do some learning with students that's not just fact-based, so that they're not just always seeking answers, instead they're seeking questions. What happens if I do this? What happens when I connect these dots? How about if I do this differently? So really trying to get that idea of deeper learning, and 3rd grade is just a great place to start it. So kind of the year broken up into sections. In the first part of the year started with this tinkering lab that you saw, and really the idea is to help kids through the innovation process. And so we really refer to it kind of with these different stages of making. So you might have seen some kids that were just copying or following directions to kind of get started. You might see some kids that were modifying or just totally creating something on their own depending on where they are. So each time they do the Innovation Lab, they pick a set of materials to work with. As a team, they work on a project, and then they take some photos of it so that they can capture the beginning, middle, and end, and then they're later able to talk about what worked well, what was hard, what would they do differently next time, those kinds of things. So it's not about any kind of rote answer that they can memorize, but that deeper learning instead.
We have our heart rate monitor project, which you helped fund through the Lake City Ed Foundation. An area business donated some money for that. That has totally transformed how our Phi-Ed classrooms run. One of the first schools in the state of Minnesota to use heart rate monitors in the classroom, and if you have an opportunity to see that classroom in action, it's not your typical Phi-Ed class, and kids are highly motivated because it's personalized. They all wear a heart rate monitor. They can see exactly how much effort they're putting into that activity on that day, and they can challenge themselves with that. They cannot slack anymore, and I tell you, one of the neatest things is you walk in a class like that and you've seen kids who have not been real active in Phi-Ed in the past, and they are working as hard as anyone, if not more, because they're self-motivated.
I've been a teacher, coach, a principal, and now superintendent. So I'm entering my 3rd year as superintendent. I was principal for 14 years and a teacher for about the same amount of time.
We are doing a 9th grade retreat. There are 3 different groups, and I just happen to be in group 2. Acid River, in the middle of the room there was acid, right? And there was some cement blocks, and we were given 4 boards and a rope to get across. There were 2 different teams, and we had to use teamwork to get everybody across. There were girls and there were boys. Each team had to get to the other side along with a ladder and a basket. After like 40 minutes, we all figured it out and we made it across. I definitely learned a lot about teamwork, and the first thing we did is we had to make a speech in a minute and a half about respect. We had to meet 4 criteria. We had to stand on a cement block, we had to keep our hands by our sides, which I definitely struggled with, and we had to make eye contact with everybody in the room and speak for the entire time about respect. Another thing we did yesterday is wrote our psychological fear on a board. Like, for example, mine, I have a fear of disappointing others. So I wrote that down, and then on the other side, if I break through this fear, I will be happier, I'll be a better brother, you know, all that. And we stood up in front of everybody, broke it, and that symbolizes the start of breaking through that fear.
So that's where the floor in the middle of the gym is acid, but he has cinder blocks in the middle, and you have to take boards and rope, and you have to figure out how to get everybody across without touching it, and if anything touches the acid, then it's out and you can't use it anymore. We did a lot of fear breaking, so we had to write one of our fears on a board, and then on the back write what our fear would conquer if we didn't have it anymore, and then we had to take the board and break it with our hands. I learned that even though you may be scared, you can still break through. Well, everybody says that freshmen usually the scariest year and everything, which truthfully it's not too bad, but I think it's just a good starter since you have college in a few years and you have to live your life afterwards.
Well, I always describe my town as being picturesque and lots of nature and all of that, and I always say we're just a small little river town. As from an education standpoint, I always had teachers that cared about me, not only as a student, but as a person, and most of the time they knew my parents and they could talk to them or see them at the grocery store and pick out, oh, that's Abby Groomer's mom and dad. It wasn't, oh, what's their name again?
Each day the boys will collect the milk cartons from the classrooms, and they follow their schedule and a routine daily. They earn a nickel a day, and they save up for the year, and then at the end of the year we go out to eat and they practice their life skills. Life skills is another class that we have that they practice different jobs every week, and it's based around a snack time. They do learn about money, they learn how to count money and then how to spend the money when we go. I think they really feel a great sense of pride for being able to kind of be in charge of this milk program.
We love you!
Well, more and more of our teachers, we use a platform called Schoology, so they put their classes on there, they put their coursework on there. A lot of times things are recorded on there. You may be very hesitant as a student to ask a question if you're in a group with your peers, but when things are recorded and available, you can play that 100 times and no one knows that you did that. So the opportunities in some of our classes are also opening it up to students pretty much going at their own pace.
You know, a big thank you. Our community's always been very supportive of the schools in Lake City, whether they're passing a referendum or just being involved in the community. We have a volunteer program here at the high school with retired members of our community coming in and working with our math department. We've got partnerships with different businesses in the community, and it's really a community school. It's a community feel. We're not a separate silo in this community, and I think as a whole we raise really great kids in this community, and it's a tribute to the whole Lake City area and community for that.
I think they're passionate,
energetic, curious, and just amazing. I love them.
I think they have empathy.
I think we have very respectful kids. I think we have very involved kids, very engaged and involved, and I think they really care about others.
I think they're inspired. I hope they're inspired. So we know this is just the start for them. They're going to go on to hopefully be productive citizens, productive parents.
Hi, I'm Jerry Prigge. I'm owner of Marine's Deli, along with my husband Jeff. We graduated from Lake City in 1978 and are very happy to have done that. And as well, our children graduated here and now the next generation. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Melissa Shaw, owner and veterinarian at the Lake Pepin Pet Clinic and Hospital. And this is my son, Gary. Thank you.
I'm Andy Oliver, the owner of Acrotech Incorporated. Thank you for supporting our schools.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do for us and for the entire school.
My name's Lyle Peters. I'm a graduate of Lincoln High School, class of 1963.
Thank you for supporting our schools.